This is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. Hope you enjoy this Critical Thought, your daily discussion on game design. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and you can pitch future Critical Thought topics. Alright, before you get started with today's Critical Thought, you have one more day left to vote for the 1000 Let's Play between plays of a Bethesda RPG, a Zachtronics run of his games, or a grand strategy from Paradox. Be sure to vote in any of the Critical Thoughts, and if it turns out we're going to be doing something like the Zachtronics run, which it looks like it may just be, I figure we'll be doing that stream-wise and then piecing it together, taking it apart for the YouTube channel. If not, we'll be here for who knows how long. For today's Critical Thought, we're talking about the use of bundling and what it has meant for game development and selling your games. When it comes to bundling, this has become an effective way of getting your game in front of a lot of people, but there are some major risks and considerations you need to understand before you decide to sign up for a bundle. Now, our first example here is of course what has made the idea of bundling famous, the Humble Bundle, a monthly service that allows consumers to donate and pay essentially what they want for different tiers of games. They've also expanded to book bundles, software bundles, and the like. With the Humble Bundle and how it's evolved, as you can see down there, there's always going to be a pay what you want tier, a beat the average tier, and then kind of like their quote-unquote top tier. And you can see that for this month's Humble Bundle right here. And the idea, of course, is you're going to donate money, and then you're free to decide who gets what, with your donation split between Humble Bundle itself, the charity that they're raising money for, and all the developers who've participated in the bundle. Now, when it comes to advantages, they are predominantly on the consumer side. I remember the first time I heard about the Humble Bundle, I made that Tim Allen noise from Home Improvement. I was talking to a friend, and they're like, "Well, I just got all these games on the Humble Bundle. How much did you pay?" "I paid about $1. And that's the kind of noise I made. And now every month I basically keep my eyes out for whatever the Humble Bundle will be. And of course they've also expanded to sort of like their loot box strategy, which that is another topic in of itself. But the idea of selling games at this low is insane to me, just as it was for the whole Steam sale program from a few years ago. And as I just said, you can literally pay what you want. I think they've made things a little bit more restrictive. I think you need to pay at least $1, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I always just usually give $1 if it's nothing that I want, and may pay a little bit more if there's a good collection. But this allows consumers to, again, grow their backlog exponentially. And I've had cases where I've bought stuff on the Humble Bundle where, like, 2 of the 5 games I already own, and I'm basically buying for just 1. Or it's just a collection of software that I may never even get around to, but I figure at this low of a deal, it's probably good to have it in my ever amassment of software on Steam. With those advantages, the other side of this is from the PR point of view. For developers and publishers looking to basically get their name in the paper, in a manner of speaking, this is a great way to do that by saying that you support this charity, you're giving all these keys to be used in the bundle, and for larger corporations, I assume they can write this off tax-wise as, charitable donations. Now comes the trouble part. What this means for the developer. Just as it's easy to get hundreds of thousands of your keys sold, on the opposite end, it's very hard to make a profit at this point. And this next part, for any indie developers watching this, you may want to write this down. Do not go onto a Humble Bundle or a bundle if you're expecting to turn a profit with your game. Remember, just as I said, people can spend as little as $1. And just because they're spending $1 doesn't mean you're going to get $1. And here's another little, there we go, wrong example there. But here's the example of that. So whenever you spend money on the Humble Bundle, you are allowed to, as you can see, decide where your money goes. And if someone doesn't really care about the games, but they're simply interested in the charity, they can bump the developers down to 0. And they can raise the charity and the Humble tip up. Now, I've never done that, but it is important to understand that that is an option. And whenever someone buys a Humble Bundle, your money or their money is going to be split multiple ways. Besides those 3 categories, you of course have all developers in said bundle. So if someone spends, let's say, $1, and there's 5 developers in the bundle, each developer will basically be could be making less than 20 cents for that copy. Now, obviously we're talking about copies being sold in, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Did I get that on the other screenshot? No. Oh wait, yes I did. So as you can see, we have over 200,000 bundles sold as of when I took the screenshot. But remember, that's still, we don't know the exact amount. Someone could have spent a lot on just $1. We could have had people who were charitable and spend $500, $600, stuff like that. But again, all this money is being split in so many different ways that the developer really isn't going to be seeing much of a profit. Even if everyone donates at least $1 or $5, it's still being split multiple ways. Puppy Games, this is from what I talked about I think last week on an earlier Critical Thought, ran into trouble when they put all their games on the Humble Bundle, and they were having people expecting all the support who only spend like a penny. This was during the older days of the Humble Bundle. Now, to be fair, I think this is kind of them getting in way over their heads. Because again, when you're putting into a bundle, you are going to be growing your fan base, which can be very useful for your next game. But you still have to support it. And if all those hundreds of thousands of people find problems with your games, they're going to expect support, or they're going to just downvote the hell out of it in the future. And the only exception to if you're to make a profit is if you have like a specialty bundle. A few years ago there was the Not on Steam bundle, where a collection of developers basically got together to pull all their games to make a bundle for themselves because they couldn't get on Steam otherwise. And I think it's sold pretty well. I know I got quite a few games from that. And I think a lot of them actually got onto Steam after that whole sale. The other risk about the Humble Bundle is the fact that once you put your game on sale, you will most likely not be getting profit for a very long time. Going back to the screenshot here, as you can see in the Beat the Average price of $4.17 at the moment of this recording, that what you see Rust down there, which is the early access game that I think is being sold for $20. Now, once everyone who's bought the game already, they've been enjoying this. For people who've been on the fence, they now have the option of getting the game at a far cheaper price. And there's always the risk of key resellers, people who will just stalk the Humble Bundles or these kinds of giveaways, get as many keys as they can, and then resell them for a few dollars here, a few dollars there, stuff like that. And key reselling is a major point, but that is definitely beyond the scope for today's Critical Thought. And like we're just saying, once you do this, it's kind of like Pandora's box. You can't close it up, at least not for a very long time. Usually like maybe months later or a year later. This is why for most of the big name titles who will appear on a Humble Bundle, this is usually far after the point of essentially making profits. When sales are low, this is beyond the first 3 weeks, first month of release, stuff like that. It will be crazy to put your game on Humble Bundle literally the first week of it being available. Now, one question for you folks watching. What do you think about early access games going on the bundle? Like I just showed, there's Rust on there, but they have put quite a number of early access titles as different tiers on Humble Bundle in the past. Obviously, we're getting games on there that aren't necessarily finished at the time, and there's always that risk. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, one last point for today regarding the idea of bundling. If you're going to decide to put your game on bundle, like I said, it's important to know the right time for it. If you're noticing that sales are low, your game has been in the news lately, or you're planning a second game that's coming out and you want to drive up some PR, getting on a bundle is a good way. Now, for developers watching this who have been on the bundle before, any of these kinds of bundle services, I know that this can be considered NDA breaking, so if it is, please let me know. But how do you usually get on these bundles? I assume that this is a way of either Humble contacting you or you contacting Humble, but again, this is information that is usually privy to the two parties. Other than that, there's not much else to really talk about bundling in terms of its impact on the market. As we've seen, it is almost related to the threat and dangers of sales with regarding the race to the bottom. Again, when you're selling your game for literally $1 or less, it can become very hard to convince people to buy other titles. And as my backlog has no doubt proven, which let's do a total now, it's at 1134 thanks to the last Humble Bundle, it's becoming harder and harder to spend more time on games. As we've talked about, if I just bought 10-15 games through Humble Bundle and sales, why should I spend $60 for a brand new game I may not even get to for 2 to 3 months, and in that time it could be half or more off? And that is kind of the discussions and debates regarding the race to the bottom and these kinds of bundles. For one last point, for any developers, or one last question, for developers watching this who have participated in Humble Bundles or any kind of bundles in the past, what do you make of the service from a game development or a game selling point of view? Again, we can of course theory craft until the cows come home, but for those of you who have actually done it, what do you think of the service, and do you see yourself continuing to do it in the future? With that said, we're going to wrap up today's Critical Thought here. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed things, be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the new updated Patreon campaign. Our first goal is to expand our PlayStation content with looking at more older titles and a Let's Break of Ninja Gaiden Sigma. You can find the link to it at the end of this video, and of course on Patreon under Game Wisdom. And be sure once again to get that vote in for the 1000 Let's Play. And maybe I won't drive myself insane with Space Chem, but we'll see. Until next time, I'm Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games. Until tomorrow, have a great night, and see you all then. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and of course share with your friends, it always helps out. For daily posts on all manner of game design and industry topics, check out game-wisdom.com. To support the site and everything that I do, be sure to check out the Patreon campaign. If we can hit goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy, and I'll be able to support myself and my household. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at GWBycer for updates throughout the day and random thoughts from me. And lastly, you can find me on Twitch right over there at GWBycer for daily streams most nights around 10 Eastern. Thanks again for watching the video, and be sure to check out more great content coming to the Game Wisdom channel real soon.